right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of The Teardown. My name is Jeff Gluck, along with Jordan Bianchi. We are motorsport drivers for The Athletic, and today we're here at Martinsville Speedway, one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track. And we've just witnessed the Championship 4 get set. Jordan, I whiffed. I whiffed on my champion is done. That's the end of that.
You doubted the Joey Logano odd even year thing. And I told you, odd year, don't pick them. You didn't listen. I said analytics. You're like, no. Told you.
What about Ryan Blaney?
That's tough. I mean, this is, I think, one of those that's going to sting for Ryan Blaney. He handled it, by the way, after the race really, really well. William Byron was better, but handled it really well. But you look at how this round unfolded for the 12th team. And it felt like missed opportunity after missed opportunity. You know, what happened in Las Vegas with the tire issue hitting the wall, everything seemingly set up for them well at Talladega. And then come here, a track that he has been phenomenal at the last few years, and qualifies 31st. And you're thinking, oh boy, you know, what happened here? Then drives to the field, but they just didn't have it today. Or they didn't have what they were just missing that last little bit. So this is going to be one that I think is going to sting for Blaney and Penske too. I mean, how do you not feel like this got away from you? You know, this was a championship. You know, you're going to a track. By the way, the last time this championship, at least for next year, is going to be hosted at Phoenix. You don't know how long your dominance on these kind of tracks is going to hold for. Everything is cyclical in the sport, and you obviously still have it. You know, look at New Hampshire, look at today, and it just got away. And now your streak of winning the championship is going to end at 3. And honestly, I think we both agree if Logano or Blaney would have gotten there, this is probably their championship to win.
Yeah, this was a big moment. Listen, we started this playoffs conversation talking about Penske. Is Penske going to get there? And if Penske's going to be there, then they could easily win a 4th straight title. Now we know they won't. Their championship run will end next week. Either Hendrick or Joe Gibbs, which, to be fair, those have been the 2 best organizations all season. We've said there's a big 3, but you know, it's mostly been Hendrick and Gibbs, and they have 2 drivers each. Now, I was convinced that Penske was going to be able to use these tracks that were to their advantage, you know, Gateway, Loudon, Martinsville, Phoenix, to win another title. I said they were going to get 2 drivers in there, and I said Logano was going to win. Now, for a decent portion of this race, it did look like Blaney might get in there. But I had no Hendrick drivers in my Final 4. And you know what? Go back to our Media Day live stream. We had all the drivers come through, Jordan, to talk to us on Media Day before the playoffs. And I said to Byron when he sat down with us, you know, I don't have any Hendrick drivers in the Final 4 because, and I explained why, right? And he said, you know what, though? Yes, you know, he basically said we're not great on the short flat tracks right now, but he felt that Loudon and Gateway were going to give them 2 opportunities to have. He was encouraged by the amount there were, because he thought the more opportunities you give Hendrick Motorsports, the more they could use it as sort of a test, right? Well, look what happened. Lo and behold, here we are 9 weeks into the playoffs, and Hendrick has made huge gains, right? Like Chase Elliott fast in practice this weekend, William Byron pole. And ultimately, William Byron has the race of his career, but also it includes beating a Team Penske driver straight up.
Oh, duel him.
I mean, not only the moment where he tracks him down and moves him out of the way, but then there's a late restart, and they're head-to-head, right? Straight up.
Nothing.
The 2 best cars of the race.
Even tires, even everything.
Yep. And what does Byron do?
Yeah.
Terrific restart. So ultimately, you know, Blaney at the end says, listen, I mean, they were a little bit better than us. It was a great battle, but they were a little bit better. And Logano gets out of his car and says, you know, we just didn't have it today. We didn't, you know, and so Hendrick Motorsports stepped up. They got 2 drivers in when for part of these playoffs, it didn't look like they could have anybody in the Final 4. And so now here we are with no Penske, 2 Gibbs, 2 Hendrick.
And, you know, I think what Ryan Blaney has done at Martinsville these last 2 years have kind of casted a shadow over everything else. But when you step back and you look at it, you know, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott were really, really good here. last year in this race. They were both in contention. And so Hendrick may have been off a little bit, but it wasn't like they were completely out of the ballpark. They were, at least they had something there to make gains out of and to build off of. And they certainly did that. And I think if you're Team Penske, I think you need to step back from this. And one, yes, this is a big missed opportunity for the reasons we just laid out, but you need to step back and look at it from a 30,000-foot perspective. And that is, we talk a lot about the big three, but I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say an asterisk, I don't know how you would describe it, but it's like Joe Gibbs Racing is pretty good just about everywhere for the most part, right? Team Hendrick Motorsports is very, very good just about everywhere. They've got, their intermediate track program is a little, iffy sometimes, but largely they're pretty good every single where. Team Penske, though, their bread and butter is short, flat tracks, like you mentioned, right? The Iowas, the Gateways, Richmond, all of that stuff. And Blaney's a little bit of an exception where Blaney is running really, really well most weeks. But the other two cars within that organization, the 22 and the 2, if it's not a super speedway or a flat track, short flat track, they're really iffy. They're up and down. And organizationally, if Team Penske wants to be in the same caliber as JGR or Hendrick, they've got a lot of work to do. And that's a sharp reality. That's a very blunt reality for them. They have to face this offseason.
I thought it was really interesting to hear Jeff Gordon talk about the process of Hendrick getting better at these tracks to try to catch Penske, right? Because, he said like the first 2 years that they win Phoenix, obviously everybody Hendrick, and we heard it last year. Yeah. They're like, we've got to get better at Phoenix. We've got to get better. And they show up to Phoenix last year and they still weren't good enough, as he put it. So now they put even more emphasis on it. And he said that he actually thinks that their emphasis on the shorter, flatter tracks at Hendrick might have taken away some from their intermediate program because you only have so much time and resources that you can use. And it was interesting hearing Cliff Daniels. I don't know if you were standing there when he was in the scrum yesterday. I think he said that instead of starting to work on Phoenix, like 3 or 4 weeks out, I think he said it was like 7 or 8 weeks out this year that Hendrick has started to look for Phoenix. So this has been a huge emphasis for the other teams, and Penske showed them this game plan, right? Like Penske, obviously by last year, everybody's like, all right, so
here's the path,
right? I mean, intermediate's great, super speedway is great, but really what it matters is Martinsville and Phoenix. And yep. Byron even came in yesterday and said that, right? Like he had this sort of sense of peace about him because we're asking him like, man, like Vegas, Ty Dillon, right? Like Talladega, Carson Osvar, you're getting spun. And how do you move past this? Like you've lost so many points and now you have to go win. And he said, you know what? Like, I like this. I don't want to have to protect points anyway. Yeah. And I like, and he said, the fact is, if we're not going to be good at Martinsville, it's not going to matter anyway for Phoenix because it's all about these two races.
Yeah.
So straight up for him, it was like, hey, we're either going to be good here or not. And if we're not good enough, it's not going to matter. So, and that's really the formula. And so now all these other teams, to say that they caught Penske, I guess they did.
They did.
But, Penske was they still had a chance to make, do the funniest thing, as everybody says on the internet.
Yeah. Is that a thing on the internet?
Like had Logano. I mean, there was a little bit there where Logano was running third or second today for a while. And you're like, oh my gosh, is he?
I just thought I had this in my head. I was like, man, he's just gonna hang around all day, top 10, float around. We're gonna get a couple restarts late, and somehow, some way, he's gonna work himself up into one of the top 2 or 3 rows, and then he's gonna do Joey Logano things. Like that was in my head, and it just never materialized. But he even faded at the end. But Hendrick was really good, and we're gonna talk a lot about William Byron today because obviously Superman effort. He wins the pole. Leads the most laps, wins both stages. Just, I don't know how many laps he led today, but it was an ungodly.
Over 300 career high.
Yeah, ungodly amount. Really, I think Rudy said it as well. I think William said it as well. Best drive of his career. There's nothing else that even comes to mind. Just really, really impressive. And this is a driver, by the way, at Darlington almost threw a perfect game, But Chase Elliott was in the ballpark today. Chase Elliott was really, really good. Kyle Larson was up there for the most part today. Got shuffled back a little bit at the end because of strategy and everything, but still, they were good. We talk about this path. Well, this path is going to be much different next year because of where the championship is. It's no longer at Phoenix. It's going to be at Homestead next year. that's going to change all of it. And I keep going back to this. This just feels like a really big missed opportunity for Penske, where they had everything set up, going to, two of their best tracks, and they didn't do it. And now, who knows what, they're very capable of rebounding next year, but this isn't organizationally. You look at where this team has been at the last few years, like they just haven't been the same week in and week out consistency, high level as JGR and Hendrick.
Well, to expand on your point though, Jordan, and I think you've gotten at this a little bit, but let's really emphasize here. It's not just the missed opportunity for Penske in terms of getting to Phoenix, but one more time at Phoenix where the championship is. But the championship is going to be different.
Yeah.
And at a minimum, it seems like it's going to be a 4-race championship.
You're going to need better. You're going to need more race-to-race consistency in some form, whether that's 4 races, 10 races, or 36 races.
Exactly. And that seems to be the 3 options on the table. Not decided yet, by the way.
Nope.
NASCAR is
still talking about it. No decisions. Very clear.
Everything is still on the table. But
except for going back to this format.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. This seems the one thing that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you're Penske and this is how you've won your titles, this is right. This was a really big missed opportunity. And I think you're going to regret this for a long time. I mean, Logano afterwards was talking about how when he lost control on one restart, I think he had regretted one of the chooses he made, and it allowed Blaney to get past him. And then he felt like he lost control of the race in that sense. So he regretted that. But ultimately, I mean, they just weren't as fast as Hendrick.
No.
I mean, again, we saw in the head-to-head battle, Byron was able to get past Blaney, and, contact or not, Blaney didn't begrudge him it. Like, he understood. I mean, it wasn't a dirty move by any means. You're in traffic, you're racing hard. The door had opened a little bit to go low. Byron had been catching him and was there.
Yeah.
So,
and Blaney had no issue with it whatsoever. He had seen it after the race when I spoke to him, but he's like, considering the circumstances, no issue. He didn't get crashed or anything. He didn't even lose a spot. So no problem there. And he excited, like, Blaney or Byron was just better today. I asked him, I said, it felt like your car, Blaney's car was really, really fast, obviously, at the beginning of the race and kind of for the middle portions. And then at the end, it seemed like Byron just was a little bit better. And I asked him about that. I said, your car fall off? He's like, Byron led like 350 laps, man. Like, he had the better car.
It's really, I mean, when you think about what Byron has been able to do, look, you could say regular season champion and all that stuff, but as you pointed out on a podcast a few weeks ago, you didn't feel like he's led enough laps. Ultimately, by the way, this 300 laps put him as the season laps led leader.
Yeah.
But your point was that he led a lot of those in a few races.
Yeah, I mean, Darlington, Charlotte, Iowa, there were the 3 big races, and
it wasn't a consistent thing for him.
Not a week-to-week thing. And 2 of those 3 races where he dominated, Iowa, Charlotte, and Darlington, only won one of them.
And so what it did was bring up sort of the usual, man, Byron seems to start off well, and I don't know what happens to them in the summer, and Hendrick was off as a whole in the summer, and what's going on. And, it just felt like they just, and then when this round went the way it did,
they went 8 of 9 races without leading a lap. Actually, like 12 or 13 races without leading a lap. That's pretty remarkable.
And neither of us picked him for a Final Four.
A lot of zeros.
Neither of us picked the regular season champion for a Final Four, if you recall.
No, yeah, and I look at that 0. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah. So listen, this guy, and you were around this time too. We've seen this guy come in, and he was a kid. He was legitimately a kid. He was a teenager, and he was like a young teen. I will say, like, you talk about Connor Zilic as a teenager, right? But like, he acts so wise beyond his years, and he's so particular. Byron, I think there was so much of like trying to find his way in the spotlight for so long. Remember Chad Knaus yelling at him to, stand up for himself more and all this stuff. And, it was just like, he was a kid that didn't know how to sort of carry himself and be a leader and have that strong mentality. And we've seen him before our eyes become a man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mature.
It's not just like this dude now, he is like, he has the confidence, he has the mentality.
There's no panic.
No.
He handles moments well. Today's a perfect example. It's really easy for young drivers to come in here and be blown up, and they're the next best great thing, and this and that, and then they fall flat in their face. We've seen it happen so many times. Byron has handled every challenge thrown at him really, really well. He's learned from it. He's had, worked with Chad Knaus in the beginning, which was a great crew chief for him for the first few years, and then that kind of ran its course. And now he and Rudy Fugle. And by the way, Byron was driving the decision to hire Rudy Fugle. He's like, Hendrick Motorsports is kind of an organization that likes to hire within, that kind of thing. And he's like, no, I want this guy who's in the truck series, by the way, which is not a big, not really where you pluck a lot of crew chiefs. He's like, this is the guy I want. This is the guy that I feel is going to take this team to the next level. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And look at the record. This is their third straight time in the championship four.
I just think that Byron, I'm really enjoying hearing from Byron more and more lately. Used to feel like he was really sort of clammed up and it was hard to get anything out of him. And I don't know if he knew who he was really, as he's starting to win races and be in the spotlight more.
And it's hard too when you've got superstar teamemates. You're teammates with Chase Elliott, you're teammates with Kyle Larson. You've got Jeff Gordon still there. Like you have a lot of big personalities, and you're Chad Knaus. And how do you manage that?
Yeah, but it's just been really interesting to see his evolution. And I thought it was fascinating recently when this whole conversation when Denny won his 60th, and people were like, I don't know if anybody can get to 60 again. Maybe he's the last driver to 60, which possible, but I really think Byron is being overlooked. I mean, how old is Byron still?
He's 27. He's in his age 27 year.
He's still so young, like comparatively so young to a lot of these guys. And he is now like, he has this mentality where it's the killer mentality where he's, if you give him a fast car and you give him a chance to win.
Smooth.
I mean,
doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely overdrives. Very rarely do you see Byron being pointed at fingers of, oh, look what he did or that or this. Like very clean. Doesn't get involved in a lot of the extracurricular stuff. Just very smart, mature too. And you talk about your point of kind of seeing him kind of come out a little bit of this, being more comfortable with who he is. He's not afraid to talk about topics, big picture topics now, and have a voice in this sport. And that's something that's a lot of people aren't comfortable with. But we have seen him now be somebody who's saying, oh, no, I really believe this, or I want to see this. And this is a driver who is, we talk so much about Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin and these great drivers. Like he's often overlooked in that conversation, and he shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, he's been a quieter guy. He's not a huge personality, but I think we continue to see him blossom and grow. And that's going to be a guy where, 10 years from now, he's going to be a multi-time champion. He's going to be clearly future Hall of Famer, kind of all that stuff. Like he's going to have a big voice. He's going to have been around, and he's going to have bridge generations. You know what I'm saying? So, it's going to be it's really fascinating to watch his journey. And now he's in position to potentially where he could get his first championship. But Jordan, if he's going to win his first championship, he's going to have a lot of competition.
This is the most wide open I have felt this championship four field has been in a long time. And we broke it down last week a little bit, presumptively saying if Penske didn't advance. And as you dive into it deeper this week, it's like you can make a case for any of the four legitimately. And, you could say, well, Chase Briscoe, maybe. Chase Briscoe's first career win came at Phoenix in the next gen car. This is a team. And this is a team, by the way, who's got a team who's been there before. And this isn't their first rodeo. All four of these teams come in running very, very well. There's maybe a little bit of concern with the 11 right now, the mechanical gremlins that seem to be popping up. I don't know how you interpret that a little bit, but all four of these drivers are legit. They arguably are the four best drivers on the season. If you look at some of the stats in terms of laps led, average finish, points, whatever metric you want to use, they're all in the discussion for this. I mean, this is a very much a wide open championship where any of these four you could make a case for.
Listen, I'm looking for this Christopher Bell quote because I talked to him after the race, and Christopher Bell has been on our podcast saying he would like the season-long format, and he believes that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking about it after the race because I said, poor Christopher Bell, right? He scored the second most points in this round. He had 3 top 10s, I believe. He had this, he had 3 people win from below him to knock him out. And he said after Las Vegas, this is what's going to happen. Deja vu. I didn't win Las Vegas when I needed to. I didn't win Talladega when I needed to. My teammates did. And now here we go again. He just felt it all the way. And even though he had a 30-whatever point lead, he said he knew this was going to happen. He knew there was going to be a new winner from below him, and he knew he was going to be racing Larson. And unfortunately for Bell, Larson clearly outran him today. They didn't have it. They did not have it. But
okay. They just not have it. For the second year in a row, they missed it in this race. So
I asked Bell, I said, well, at least you're not going to have to worry about this deja vu next year because this was the last Martinsville elimination race, at least, right? Like, and so he chose this opportunity to praise the format. And he said, ultimately, I think the format has a lot of positives around it. This year, 4 of the right guys ended up making it. And I think whoever the champion is out of those 4 is going to be a deserving champion. This year, the format worked out, and I'm content with the results, is what Christopher Bell said. And I have to agree with him. Obviously, I'm Team 36, and I'm not going to change my mind based off one race today. But to your point, I think that this, out of all the years, this might be the most deserving for. And this was a wide open season as well. So you didn't have, you're not worried about, well, this guy had a really dominant year and now he's going to lose like Corey Heim in the trucks, right?
Sure,
like
Carnes, yeah.
You don't have that in Cup. You had a wide open season, and you could make the argument that Blaney or Bell also could have blown for sure.
Bell had the best average finish this year by almost a position and a half. But other than that,
well, you have the regular season champion who is the laps led leader. That's Byron.
Yep.
You have the wins leader.
Yep.
That's Hamlin. You have the top 5s leader. That's Briscoe.
Yep. A top 10s leader too, or second top 10s. Excuse me.
And yes, and so Larson is second in laps led, second in top 5s, and second in top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
So those are your 4 drivers. It's pretty hard to argue again that all of them would be deserving no matter what happens. And so that if it was like this every year, I don't think this would be as much of a conversation because you go, well, but it's not like this every year, and it's not even like this in every series, right? So it worked out this year. Great, that's wonderful. I still don't believe this is the format that NASCAR should go with in the future, and they're not. But
that's changing.
Again, we could feel differently about this format on Friday night if Corey Heim loses the truck. People will be like, "This is right?" They will be. You don't even want to
Saturday too. Like you keep saying Friday, but Saturday Connors Village is just as it's the same thing in a lot of respects.
So you could, listen again. I'm not changing my tune. I know you want me to. This is the playoffs are actually great. Actually,
just admit whether it's a chase format or 3-3-4, whatever that format is, the playoffs are a good thing.
No, I'm not going to admit that. No, why would I admit something is false?
Okay.
I'm not going to lie to you. I think that personally, NASCAR would be better off with a 36 race deal. But interestingly enough, Jordan, speaking of this debate, we went up and visited some of our friends at the Lionel Suite today and talked to them for a little while. And so, these are the people in the Lionel Suite are like the most hardcore collectors, right? And then so they get in this suite. So like these are like some of the most hardcore of hardcore NASCAR fans.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just curious, what are you guys thinking about the playoffs, right? And more hands. And again, this is anecdotally, so don't everybody on the internet get mad at me. I'm not saying this is what the whole internet believes. I'm just saying this group of how many people were there? 50 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
It was about split, but more hands went up for the 10 race chase than Team 36, which I was surprised
overall, far more number of hands voted for a playoff than the regular season.
No, one person put up their hand for 3-3-4.
Mm-hmm. And a couple people put up for the current format.
They did?
They did, yeah. The guy next to me loved it.
Okay.
And so more people, if you add up the groups, more people wanted a playoff of some form than
if you're counting the chase as a playoff, right? They did. No, they did.
Yeah.
But so again, I'm not gonna sit here and say that this sucks because I'm so convinced of Team 36 that I'm going to take a dump on this format today or this outcome today, because I think there was a great look, like Bell said, you got 4 deserving people. Okay. So it's great. It's wonderful. And I think next week is going to be a great battle. It's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. Just like I was looking forward to today. You're like, man, these guys at Martinsville who are below the cut line, it's all the best Martinsville drivers. One of them's probably going to win. Mm-hmm. Who's it going to be? I was very excited to see that. And it played out great. So I'm not going to, I think both things can be true. You can still enjoy what happened. As I did a 12 questions with Dale Jr. for The Athletic, and he was talking about his evolution of being too critical. And he said he's learned how to say that, look, this will be a great championship. This person will be legitimate, but I happen to believe that this thing will be better. And I feel the same way. So I think it's a good way to phrase it. But I can go to Phoenix and be excited, even though I don't like the one race thing. That's how I feel.
I think there's a lot to be excited about for Phoenix. As we laid out, these are 4 of the best drivers of the year. Bell and Blaney have an argument to be made, but largely a case could be made for these 4. You've got the 2 clear best teams this year on a week-to-week basis.
Mm-hmm. 2 from each.
2 from each. It's going to be a showdown. You've got a storyline of Denny Hamlin pursuing his first ever championship. You've got Chase Briscoe and his, underdog Cinderella type, success story. You've got Kyle Larson's pursuit of a second championship as he continues to assert himself as an all-time great and build that legacy. And then you've got William Byron, who is kind of the successor to Jeff Gordon in a way and Jimmy Johnson in a way, and came in with all of this hype and praise. And he is building a resume at this young age where he is one day could be making a case for this, and what a championship would do for him. So, and then his backstory too of how he came into the sport. So 4 fascinating storylines. It's going to be a very exciting week. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, look, I mean, you have the Denny storyline, finally winning his first ever championship, possibly, right? Like, that would be a huge story. The Briscoe rags to riches story, so to speak, like the guy who moved down to North Carolina with
sleeping on couches.
Like, yeah, right. That whole thing. That would be an amazing story of, like, in his first year, like all this stuff. That would be unbelievable. And then, like you said, the Byron, sort of the heir apparent, like getting his first title, and we don't expect it to be the last. Or Larson continuing to prove his greatness in a year when they had to go through a lot of ups and downs.
A lot of things. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
It's going to be a great story either way.
Can I tell you a cool Cliff Daniels story really quick?
Okay.
After the race is over, I see Cliff goes, congratulates all the guys, congratulates Larson, and he's on the phone, like on the cell phone talking to somebody. And I'm like, what's going on? And he makes a beeline. I'm like, where's Cliff going? So I'm like, force, like, I'm following this guy. Cliff's going to the hot dog stand. He was on the phone with his team back at Hendrick Motorsports, and their Phoenix cars are obviously already ready to go, right? But based off of this race today, they were going to make some changes to that car and get it ready. So he was on the phone with those guys like, hey, let's get to the shop tonight, by the way. And let's get started on this now. And the guys back at the shop are like, cool, we'll do this under one condition. You got to bring us back Martinsville hot dogs. So Cliff went and bought 50 hot dogs.
50.
I
don't know how well those are going to hold for the 2-hour drive or whatever.
He walked up the hot dog stand and he's like, I'll take whatever you got. They're like, we got 50. He's like, I want those.
The last 50 hot dogs on the day of Martinsville. And you're going to, you know what?
So Kyle Larson's not winning the championship.
Yeah, those people may not. Well, those people probably aren't traveling anyway if they're the shop crew, but they may not be feeling too great after this.
First lap of practice on Friday, the car is like.
Are you sure that it wasn't like JGR's idea to send them as a gift? Oh, congratulations. Well, we will send you the 50 old hot dogs that have been sitting here all day at Martinsville that had stained the bun pink. You know? So anyway, well, that's nice. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like, you know, now I'm going to get all these people feeling like I've abandoned Team 36, but I haven't. And I still think it would be.
Come over to the dark side.
You know what? Just because you keep taunting me here, the season-long points.
This is so meaningless. Just stop.
The season-long points, William Byron has retaken the lead with one race to go, plus 11 over Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell is 25 points back. And this is not the Winston Cup points. This is the points as they are now with stage points and all that stuff.
It's so meaningless.
Okay, sure. But anyway,
yes, it's meaningless, but we're going to talk about it.
So you'd still have a competitive, interesting battle
potentially.
Either way. But anyway,
you can't go that. You can't guarantee that. But okay.
Chase Elliott just didn't quite have the speed that his teammates did, but
it's the tail of his year, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been how it's been for the last few years with Chase. 5 teams regularly outperform them. 24 has regularly outperformed them. At times, it looks like the 9 is on their game, and they're really, really good. They got the consistency thing down, but they don't lead a lot of races. They don't lead a ton of laps, don't win a lot of stages. Like Chase has got 2 wins this year. Like they don't win enough. You want to see them. There is no reason they're not winning 4 or 5 races and leading 1,000 laps. You know, look at what Byron has done last year. Look at what Larson has done. Why isn't Elliott doing that? And that again kind of bit them a little bit. And I'll also say, this is not Elliott's fault. Las Vegas issue in pit road, put them back in the pack, had an issue. Talladega issue, sequence issues, kind of getting a line, that kind of thing. So strategy, whatever, it put them back in the pack, gets into wreck. So it's like they just didn't execute to the level they needed to.
I'm wondering, Jordan. So obviously we talked about the 2 that from each team. They also have 2 teammates each who are not in it. And we mentioned on the podcast before that if Bell had made it, I would have thought he would be the favorite over the JGR cars. Now, also, just because the Penske cars are not, in the championship contention doesn't mean they're going to go to Phoenix next week and be slow. They could easily win the race.
Absolutely.
So do you think that despite these 4 drivers being some of the best 4 of the year, are we going to see somebody win? Are we going to see the champion win the race? Because Denny, when he had his engine blow up today, he came in the media center for his interview, and I was like, "How are you nervous now that you're out of the race and you can't control a potential Penske? You can't stop Penske, or you don't have any control of that?" And he's like, "No, because I think I'm gonna have to win the race anyway." But I could see either Penske car winning the race or finishing 1-2, or Bell,
sure,
topping his. So I don't.
Well, here's
know,
the question.
But,
so Bell and the 2 Penske cars,
right.
Blaney and Logano, versus the championship 4. Who are you taking?
That's what I'm saying. But it seems like the championship 4, they are just so locked in, and they're
there's considerations given to them that the other drivers.
No, not even that. It's just like they are going to their level of preparation coming into this.
Yeah. And they also, let's be honest, that big back of the shop, they're going to get everything is kind of geared towards them. But I do think the Bell, for example, if he's racing in traffic, he's not going to be given every single break. Whereas if you're a Titleist contender, guys are a little bit more mindful sometimes of how they race you, and that can be a difference. And we've seen that happen on restarts before.
Here's another thing, and this is a great resource if you're JGR. Bell is going to be solely focused this week in the meetings on what information can I give you guys to make sure you go win this championship. I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
What can I do for you?
Right. And he has been terrific there in the last couple of spring races, right? Yep. So that could be a real.
And let's keep in mind, Phoenix has an extended track practice session. This is more of a traditional practice, if you will, so you can make bigger changes. So you could have Bell go out there on a setup and say, okay, we're going to have him do this, and then we're going to have our other 2 guys do this. And then we go from there. We're going to sit down and figure out the best strategy. You can just do a lot of different things because of how this is structured in terms of practice and everything.
Well, we've talked about who didn't make it and who, could win the race, but who's going to win the championship, Jordan? Who is the favorite if we had to pick? I mean, yes, the Hendrick cars have made huge gains, but I'm not ready to pick a Hendrick car. I still think I'm going to pick a JGR car here. Yeah. And so for me, it comes down to Hamlin and Briscoe. Here's the problem. We know, we know Hamlin is great at Phoenix. We're not worried about that. He's going to be fast. We don't know. We didn't get the sample size with Briscoe. We didn't see Briscoe in the spring because they weren't fast. He hadn't figured out the cars yet. Now he's going to go there. He's going to be fast. And he's won there in his SHR car in the first year of the next gen, his first career win. So for me, man, I kind of have to lean toward Denny. I think Denny is the favorite to win the championship. What do you think, Jordan?
I think there's a lot of reasons to like Denny Hamlin. One, the win in Las Vegas and the advantage that gives you in preparation and the opportunity to really kind of hone your mindset and your tools on Phoenix. You're effectively getting, forget what happens at Talladega, forget what happens at Martinsville. We're all in on Phoenix. And Denny Hamlin is a workaholic behind the scenes. He's in the sim all of the time. This allowed him to really hone in on Phoenix. And I think that is a huge advantage, especially for him, especially for that team. And listen, this is potentially Denny Hamlin's last bite at the apple. If he's going to win a championship, he may not get another opportunity. He's at an age now in his career, drivers can fall off a cliff in a hurry. We have seen many a great driver all of a sudden go from up here to down here. Denny seems to buck all of the trends, but right now, this is it. This could potentially be it. And I think if you have that mindset of, listen, this is it. If I'm going to win that championship and not go down in history as the best drivers who never have won a title, I got to go execute. I think that is a huge thing. This is a very hungry team, a very motivated driver. We have seen throughout Denny Hamlin's career, when he is very hungry and very motivated and wants to prove his detractors wrong, he is, man, that's a tough thing to beat. And let's not ignore this. There's a lot of stuff off the track that's going on with Denny Hamlin. And, he's not going to say it, but I mean, if you're Denny Hamlin, how would you not want to win a championship in this year with everything else going on? And you're sitting there and you've got this ongoing legal battle against NASCAR and you got an opportunity to take that championship. That means something. I don't know, anecdotally, that just means something. I like Denny Hamlin a lot this weekend. I picked Kyle Larson at the beginning of the playoff to win the championship. I have vacillated but I vacillated at Blaney one point. I picked other guys. I really like Kyle Larson. And I keep saying this weekend, they are better. They are getting better and better. Their speed is there. The execution is there. I think they're going to go to Phoenix and win. I really believe that. I think Kyle Larson in this situation, on this kind of track, it really sets up well for him. And Cliff Daniels, when it comes down to it, is a really good strategist. He's arguably the best crew chief in the championship 4. I like that a lot. I think the 5 team gets the championship.
Are you it sounded like you just made a whole argument for why Denny was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then you made the argument for why.
I agree. I was reinforcing why I think your argument was really good for Hamlin. But at the end of the day, I still like Larson.
Okay. Because it felt like you were just getting some clips out here on the internet so that you could just take whichever argument you just said and then
I will.
say,
don't worry.
See, I told you.
No, they'll be 100% that. 100%.
Okay.
100%. No, but I'm going to stick with Kyle Larson.
Okay. So you're picking Larson to win the championship. Yep. I don't know why, but I guess I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin.
But it's a really good pick. I don't know if there's a lot of reasons.
But something always happens to this guy. So
as long as they can execute and they don't make mistakes, I think he's going to be in the ballgame.
Speaking of Denny Hamlin, on The Athletic this week, I did do a 30-minute sit-down interview with him last week, and excited for you guys to read that, just about his year as a whole, going from new crew chief and everybody thinking, man, I don't know, this is probably his last chance has been passed, to winning the most races and how he's sort of viewing this week going into it. So that will be out on Tuesday on The Athletic. So please check that out. And
great story, by the way. Fantastic story.
How do you know?
Because you gave me a preview of it.
Oh.
It's okay to admit that I read it.
Okay. Anyway, real quick, why don't we give our picks for the other series as well? So, with the truck series.
I don't know how. Have you seen the numbers? And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I do not mean this disrespectfully to Tyler Ankrum and Caden Honeycutt and Taya Majeski, who's the defending series champion. I don't mean this at all disrespectfully, but have you actually looked at their numbers, win totals, lap, all of that stuff? It's crazy.
Well, Lane Riggs would have been even though, all of them are in a lose-lose situation because if any of them win, everybody's going to go, oh, you're not the real champion. Heim's the real champion, blah, blah. But at least if Lane Riggs had been in the Final Four and he won, you would have been like, well, he was the second best guy this year. So
he was there, and he was there. Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like, oh man, if it's not Heim, the meltdown, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly. And by the way, it's not like it's just the fans. The whole industry is like, oh geez.
Oh, there's
like the most dominant season in Truck Series history. He with his playoff points, of course, he won this round by 97 points, and his lead's been erased for the one race playoff.
He's got 11 wins this year. The other three
series records.
Yeah, series record, 11 wins this year. The other 3 drivers, 1 combined win. That's crazy. He's got 18 top 5s. River Falls math, the other 3 drivers, 20 top 5s. Like, that's just insane. Laps led this year. He's led 1,500 laps. The other guy is 400-ish right now, 350, 400.
I'm sorry, who is the stat out there that's like he has more wins this year than the other 3 combined in their careers or whatever?
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I
guess I'm going to pick him, although but it's also one of the most NASCAR things ever to just think he's not going to. And, that would be a very NASCAR thing to happen, which often is the case. Something NASCAR happens. So I don't know, but I mean, speed wise, why are you going to, it's going to be a fluky thing that.
Yeah. If he doesn't win, 2 things. 1 thing, something fluky happens to him. Somebody takes him out, something breaks, something of that nature. Or 2, they make a mistake. So, whatever that is. But assuming they go there and they do what they've done every single year race this year, he wins this going away. And for him, to me, it's about qualifying. You qualify up front, you put yourself in a position, you control the race, you don't lose control of the race, you win this thing going away. I truly believe that. The other 3 do not have the speed to beat you straight up. They're going to need something fluky to happen, a green flag pit stop, and a caution comes out, whatever. But just put yourself in position, lead, control the race, don't give it up. Don't put yourself in a spot where you've got, you're restarting 8th or something like that, and you're in the pack, and, don't with all the squirrels and everything, right? Don't put yourself in that spot. Just stay up front, maintain control of this race. He wins the championship going away.
So in the Xfinity series, we were braced for a total mess.
I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just chaos.
3 of the 4 drivers in the must-win are starting up front. Excuse me, in the final couple rows.
And by the way, 2 of them, Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith, have a history here at this racetrack that neither of them have forgotten about. Yeah. And they're lining up next to each other on the restart, and you're like, oh, buckle up. Like, this is it. Here we go. This is going to be the Martinsville. It was actually it was a very good race. Wasn't the most memorable race or anything, but it was a fine race. And it was very relatively clean, all things considered.
I was sure it was going to devolve except for Sam Mayer.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But it wasn't the most exciting race, and the winner kind of felt like we kind of felt like who was going to win the race. But it was, and then the Sam Mayer thing, what is the penalty there? It's got to be suspension, right? It has to be.
If you take points away,
it does nothing.
If you fine him,
it does nothing. So
if you're going to try to send a message, isn't it a suspension? I mean, it's not even like I saw people going, well, yeah, but it was a slower speed track, and I don't
doesn't matter.
It's after the checkered flag is a big thing.
That's
for me.
Huge thing.
Like
there's a couple things to it. One, NASCAR has been very emphatic about spinning people out intentionally, hooking people, that kind of thing. Or just, last year at Richmond, and then obviously we've seen it a few times now, right? And they're like, hey, that's a no-go. 2, they have said on the pace lap, you've got to be careful. You got to be mindful. You want to bump somebody, okay, but you cannot go crashing into somebody. And it doesn't matter if it's a high-speed track or not. Spinning somebody out and sending them into the wall just can't happen. And the other part of this, and this is kind of the unspoken thing, is NASCAR has tried to get their hands around this Martinsville Xfinity Series racing here, and how chaotic, not just in this race, but really, spring, right? And how chaotic and nuts, and like it's a bare knuckles brawl, crossing the line kind of stuff, right? They did a good job of getting the messaging going into this race. They had a drivers meeting on Saturday just to kind of remind people of, hey, don't be stupid. The note that it was out there. And so if you let this go, it kind of undermines that to some degree. But if you say, listen, we meant what we said. We're going to let you race hard. We're okay with contact. Like what happened between Mayer and Jeff Burton before the checkered flag, we're great. We're fine with that. Didn't cross any lines. That's short track NASCAR racing. We're all for it. We do not want that happening after the checkered flag flies. And that has to be sent a message. And if you send that message by parking them for a race, it reinforces that this is what's okay. This is not okay. And I think you have to.
Well, I'm going to be picking Justin Allgaier.
I think it's a really good pick, man. I told Zillich that yesterday.
Oh, what do you say?
He's like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, Phoenix there, and obviously his championship experience. And look, I mean, you have 3 JRM cars. So
the wins discrepancy is the wins. It's 10-3 for wins. But, Allgaier's in the ballpark for top 5s, top 10s. He's only 13 laps. He's only led 13 fewer laps this year than Zillich.
Is that right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, right?
What?
Yeah. 973 for.
There's been a lot of races that get away from Allgaier.
Yeah, for sure. And Zillich is phenomenal. But Allgaier's been really, really good this year. Really, really good.
And he has a lot of confidence.
And he's got a lot of confidence there. And it's Phoenix, right? And so it's a thing. And the one thing I think you have to be careful of, and I talked about Heim, you keep maintaining control of the race, right? We saw this a little bit with Zillich in this race on Saturday, and really here in the spring as well. He gets back in traffic a little bit, things can happen, and you can quickly become a victim of things that are in your surroundings, and that's dangerous. And so we'll see how this plays out. I don't think I guess I've kind of been on I think Allgaier is going to win it, so I'm going to go with you, and I agree with you. But I think it's going to be a showdown between these 2 JRM guys.
Jordan, there was a new tire today, and it was very exciting because it was like, wow, this is an even softer tire for Goodyear than they've previously been here with. And what was great was that if you go back to the next gen car, how it started at Martinsville, they're like stuck in a railroad track and they all just go around. Everybody's like, oh man,
couldn't pass lower cars.
Yeah, like everybody, you just grab a gear and go, and no passing. This to me today really felt like an old school Martinsville race. This was the kind of Martinsville race that I felt like I kind of remembered, back in the mid 2000s and stuff, where of course there's long green runs at times and stuff. Yes, of course. But like you could pass, like it was competitive.
Look at Blaney.
I mean, at one point in that, going from 34th, because he fell back at the start of the race when he started. Yeah. He went from 34th all the way up under green. Like that was, it's like amazing. And they changed nothing but on the car. It's the tire. So, and by the way, it wasn't, there was some worry that, oh my gosh, is this tire going to wear too much? It ended up not even wearing, like the drivers afterwards, because remember, Bell and Logano came down and put on tires to try to do an alternate strategy. And then Bell couldn't get up there. Like they didn't make that much of a difference. But what they said was, and I'm sure like Denny on Actions Detrimental can explain this better, but it would wear out a little bit and then it would sort of like plateau for a while. Like it wouldn't fall off a cliff and just keep wearing. Yeah. And then toward the very end of its tire life, then it would start falling off a cliff. But the plateau part, once you got to that, it was pretty much even. And Logano said he felt like finally the leaders with the older tires were just starting to fall off a cliff when the last cautions came out and they didn't have enough time to get through there. Now they probably wouldn't have won anyway because they were probably equal enough tires, but it made for a much better race. Yeah. Now I was entertained. I saw that some on social media were still not thrilled. I thought it was
is this the most great Martinsville? It wasn't a great race.
But it has to be the best next gen Martinsville race. No?
I had this conversation with somebody. I think last year is actually better, just because.
Than today.
I thought better it was last. We had a lot of lead changes. Okay. Think of Ryan Blaney's late race charge over the last 100 laps or so. Went from charge up there. It was dramatic. I thought last year was better, but to your point, they have made gains with this car here. Like we're seeing more consistent, better racing now, and let's even go back to like Bristol. We're seeing better racing now. A lot of that's due to the tire. 100%. And we saw it at Richmond this year with the tire. And the car is the car. But if you're going to make this car better, you can pull all the bells and whistles you want. but there's only so many you can pull. At the end of the day, tires are still going to be the biggest thing on this. And the nice thing for me out of this is, and you heard some drivers say this throughout the weekend, is you can maybe even go a little further on this tire. Like we showed today, we had a little bit of wear. You can maybe even go a little bit more.
I don't think Goodyear can, right?
I don't know. And that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I do not know how Goodyear feels on that. But this car, the tire didn't excessively wear. It's like you maybe could do that. So you're starting to see this now and then. You got more horsepower coming next year now. Will that make a difference or not? I don't know. But we're starting to see this car get better and better on short tracks, and that is highly encouraging.
Well, where are you going to guess? I've won 2 straight on the pole now.
Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
still in it. I'm not done yet,
know,
but I still have to. I have to win out. And Big Joe Wall,
I'm like Bill
who
Elliott.
keeps score for us, points out that I also have to get a big gap in the tiebreaker, which is really not very realistic unless Jordan really whiffs on one of the next 2.
This is why the playoffs better.
I would like to point out.
Oh my God.
I would like to point out for everybody that we have a lot of faithful listeners here, and you'll recall that the agreement was when Chase Briscoe joined us for the Southern 500 podcast as our co-host, that when he guessed, that his guess would count if he won, which he did. Then Jordan decided we shouldn't count it, and Jordan got the point.
Jeff also agreed to this, by the way, so this wasn't a unilateral decision.
I wanted to count
but you agreed
Briscoe's, and I also won the regular season championship and got talked out of it, right? So that would have been another point for me when you decided to go full season. So actually, I should be leading, right?
Winners win, losers make excuses.
Okay.
Jeff. A lot of excuse making over here.
Anyway, it looks like I'm headed for the dunk tank, but because even if I win out, I'm probably.
This is why the playoffs are good. Without the playoffs, this wouldn't be that compelling.
Well, we don't have the playoffs. We did full season format, remember?
I thought we switched it up to the.
No, we didn't. No, remember?
I can't keep it. We've changed it so many times. I can't.
This is a full season format.
Okay. Well, we should go.
So your argument's wrong.
We should have stuck with the playoffs then.
Oh.
See,
anyway,
if you got that's irony. If you would have been happy and you stuck with the playoffs, you would be in a better spot.
I already have my number. I already have my number in mind, and so I'm not gonna just say your number, and I already have it in mind. I promise I'm gonna be true about it. You'll see why in a minute. Just say your number.
What was the rate? What was the number last year for this race?
I haven't looked. I'm not researching anymore. I'm not researching.
Wow.
Oh my God, he's looking at the comments right now.
Sorry, I care about what people say about the show. Excuse me for caring about our
Can
listeners.
you just get to it, please? This is such a stupid thing.
80.
You can't guess 80.
Why can't I guess 80?
That's my guess.
Oh, wow.
I've guessed 80 2 weeks in a row, and I'm just going to guess 80. How can we?
80.
Well, now what are we supposed to do? This is the first time it's ever happened. I mean, even if we had just turned it over at the same time, it would have been 80 and 80.
At a time.
So then you win.
Where's my trophy, baby? Champion. Yes. I want to thank my mom and dad. This is for you. All the support over the years. You've always had my back. Loyal Teardown listeners. This one's also for you. Thank you. My colleague, Jeff Gluck. Appreciate the competition. You've lost 2 out of 3 years now. Hope you reflect over the offseason how you can be better.
Did you know that I was going to pick 80, or you just threw out a number? You just got lucky that I was going to pick for the 3rd straight week in a row.
Don't divulge my secrets. I don't.
No,
Sorry.
You totally just got lucky. You didn't even remember that.
You get a lot. Just all you do is make excuses, and just say, "Hey, congratulations, you did a good job. You beat me fair and square." That's all you got to say. I haven't heard it yet. Still waiting.
Damn, this is depressing. I didn't even give myself a chance. It's like the engine blew before I even got out of the pits. Quality control issues like JGR or something over here on my pole guess. I can't even get the starter, won't even fire.
Don't you hate it when you have quality control issues with your pole? You said it, man. There's a pill for that,
This is just really unfortunate. I can't believe this just happened.
That's what she said.
Anyway, Jordan, you were in court this week.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that before we.
Yeah. Settlement conference Tuesday, Wednesday, NASCAR in the teams front row and 2311. All of the heavy hitters for both sides were there. All of the executives from the NASCAR side that you would think would be there: Jim France, Lisa Kennedy, France, Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, Ben Kennedy, Mike Helton. On front row, 2311 side, Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, Bob Jenkins, Curtis Polk, and then their respective lawyers. It was supposed to be a one-day thing on Tuesday. And they came out on Tuesday, and there was a sense of, wow, we're gonna. They're moving maybe towards progress, because they said, hey, we're gonna come back tomorrow and do this again. It's like, oh, this was not planned. And obviously, you can read between the lines. It seemed like they were gonna, they were getting somewhere. They met all day Wednesday, and they did not reach a settlement or anything. No side really had much to say afterward, but they didn't reach a settlement, and so they were in court on Thursday for a hearing on some motions and things. And you talk to people involved in this, and there's a sense of at least there's a little bit of light at the tunnel. They had some positive conversations. That's a start, but you can't lose sight of the fact that December 1st is quickly approaching. And if there is going to be a settlement on this, you're going to have to start figuring this out a little bit. But it was a good first step, if you will, on Tuesday. Certainly the most they've talked and had positive discussions probably since this ordeal has started.
Well, at least, the fact that it went so well on Tuesday that they had an extra day on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's probably a good sign. But I know it didn't end well, but could they just not be trying to see how the judge rules on the motions that you were in court?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, but it's also, this is a lot of it was formality and stuff, the motions, and we'll see. And there's both sides have reasons to settle, and both sides have reasons not to settle. And
but if the judge says that NASCAR's counterclaim is dismissed, or he defines the marketplace a certain way, I mean, there's then one side or the other could be more motivated or less motivated to settle. So.
I mean, I think the underlying thing on all this, they can't lose sight of this, is NASCAR has never been this far down the road with a lawsuit before. They've been a private business for 77 years now. And this is really the first time they may be forced to open up their books. And I think that is noteworthy. And there's people that I've talked to that said, hey, listen, we don't want to do that. That's not something that we're comfortable doing. We've never done it before. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out that we don't want to come out. And I was talking to a lot of people this weekend about that, and we'll see. And that is an underlying fear of this, of hey, if we go down there, things could get out. And the other thing is you're 2311 and in front row, you kind of would like to know your future a little bit too, of the more this drags out, you go to December and this trial plays out, who knows how long that's going to take. You want to get your ducks in a row for 2026. And I know they're going to run next year and everything, but you still got people behind the scenes at the shop. You still got employees you got to take care of. You got people who are getting nervous, who are maybe looking for different jobs. And there's also sponsorship part of this too. Of if you're a sponsor with one of these teams, or potentially considering sponsoring one of these teams, you're man, do I sign up with these guys? Are they going to be around in 2 years? And so there's business considerations. So both sides have reasons to want to reach the finish line on a settlement.
Anything else, Jordan, from this week that you want to talk about before we go?
No, we mentioned Daniel Suarez last week. That was officially announced. He's going to Spire. I think it's a good move. It's a good one-year move. And he can go there, and it's an opportunity for Suarez to really show himself. And if he can have success, it maybe sets up some future opportunities with Spire or somewhere else. Good move for both sides, and we'll see where that goes.
Well, everybody, one race to go in this marathon of a season. 37 races down, including the exhibitions. One race left. 23 races in a row so far. One to go. Is that right? Or no, is it 28 in a row?
It's 28.
Oh, yeah. 27 races in a row. One to go. Lost count. I'm still good, by the way. Are you good?
I'm fine.
You got anything left in the tank?
Oh, I'm fine.
I'm ready to go.
I'm fine. I can be at track every week. I'd love to be.
So we will finish it off in the desert next week.
80.
Beautiful weather.
I'm just moving on. I'm not saying a word.
Okay.
Just trying to be professional over here.
You snickered, so Okay. Anyway, everybody, thanks as always for listening, and we will talk to you next time on the Teardown. See you, everybody.